Hey, welcome to Moonlight Library's Rachel. Rachel at Moonlight Library. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. We are right now talking about my books of January, and I was a reader this month. So, the past couple of months, or like the final months of last year, I was not reading much. I stopped doing wrap ups because I was like, I'm not reading that much. And you know what? This month I read and I loved it. And I'm back. I feel like I'm back with a vengeance. My passion is ignited. I am one with books. That's me right now. So, we're going to talk about the 9 books I read this month. Good job, me. Much better than the last half of last year. The final half of last year. Much better. If you have read any of these books, please tell me about what your opinions are. I had so many 5-star books and 4-star books and a 3 and a 2. So that's pretty good. Only one book did I not really like. And the 3 was just like, it was good. It was okay. It wasn't like send home and write home to your mother about. So let's start talking about my books. I'm so excited. I'm like so happy right now. I'm happy for me. I'm happy at me. Let's go. These are not in order. It's just in the order of how I stacked them when I took a picture with them. So that's the order we're going in. And then we will begin with, I think this is the second book I read this month, Penpal by Dathan. I've never heard of that name before. Auerbach. This is a book that follows this, I think he's an adult at the time looking back on his childhood. So it's a child's perspective, kind of an adult's perspective on childhood. And it's about this like pen pal he had that is really creepy. I've been searching for such a long time for a book that actually scares me. And I feel like I found it in this book. If you have a book that you're like, this book actually scares me, please comment it below because I am searching for books that chill me to the bone. I was sitting outside reading this and I was like looking around. It was nighttime into the dark of my backyard. Like, is there someone watching me? And that's the feeling I want. I mean, I don't want it to be real. I just want to feel that way. I just want that little essence of, ooh, I can't be alone. I can't go to sleep at night, you know? This book gave me that. There are some visceral scenes in this book that jaw-droppingly disgusting. There's so many, and it's not that is scary. It's just this haunting element of like this stalker, like, it is so weird. Please give me books like this. I should read his other book. Hopefully it's just as good, because this was phenomenal. Also, it's told in like, it's like maybe like 6 or 8 sections, and they're each different stories. So it's not like one narrative flowing through the entire thing. Each one is like a portion of his life where something about this pen pal is like, comes back to him. So weird. The final book I read second to last book. That's what we're starting with. Bunny by Mona Awad. I've been meaning to read this book for so long. And Kayla over at Books and Lala speaks about it a lot and speaks about it very highly, but is also like a weird one. And I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna love this. And I did love it. I gave it 5 stars. It's like, the Heathers meets Frankenstein meets Secret History a little bit, meets like Edward Scissorhands, meets like so many other things. It is creepy, it's weird, it's like a fever dream. It's this girl who is in a master's in creative writing program, and it's her and her cohort. So the other people that she is in this workshop with, that there are all these women that call each other Bunny and are like, oh my God, Bunny, you're so pretty, Bunny. Oh my God, Bunny, 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 and they're like, it's like a cult-like thing going on, and she gets invited to one of their smut salons, and then things start taking off where it's like, I didn't realize how weird it was going to be. This is like as if the multiverse were real and we're one world over, or like one dimension over, or whatever. And so everything's just like off. Everything's weird. Just a little odd. And maybe more than a little odd. That's some weird horror right here. I loved it. Maybe we're just starting out with multiple horror books because we're on Wii Sprat by Iain Reid. I read I'm Thinking of Ending Things a while ago, or like 2 years ago, and I loved it. So I was like, okay, I hope this one's good, and I kept hearing good things, and it was perfect. I like sped through this book. It was so amazing. You're following this elderly woman who is living in this apartment by herself after her partner has passed away, and she ends up hitting her head, and she doesn't really have family or friends or anything like that. All she has is the landlord, or like the superintendent or something, who ends up taking her to this elderly care facility that it only has like 3 other people in it, and things start getting really weird, and you're wondering, is this in the head? Is this real? What is this? There's so many different types of horror going on. It's like puts you in this different plane of, I don't even know, but I thought it was going to be just like some lonely woman in her head and it's scary, but I was surprised. I was shocked. I was shooketh by it. Oh, that was 5 stars too. Oh my God, we're starting out with all my 5 stars. So good. Next one, How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. It's like a sci-fi that is a composite novel. So it's a novel told through short stories following different people throughout it, and some of them are far weirder than the others, but it's all kind of encapsulates this one plague that happens called like I can't remember, the Arctic plague. Yes. So it all begins with this person in Siberia who has unearthed this like tomb that has this little girl in it, and she's all like, and anyways, so this tomb is unearthed, and then all of a sudden it starts a pandemic, and a lot of people start dying, and you're following all different stories. They're strange. At one point, there's like a pig that talks. There's a bubble void. That one was a little weird. There are all sorts of things in like the funeral industrial complex and stuff, and people start paying in like funeral coin or something at a point, and it is so strange, so good. It packs a punch in 300 pages, and I feel like the fact that they use the form of a composite novel really creates the ability to go through so much within such a short span of time. Next is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham. So this one I gave a 4. You're following this girl who her father was a serial killer. It seemed like he's in jail, but it seems like killings are starting to happen again, and they're kind of surrounding her. And what is happening? She's a therapist, and she's just like kind of trying to figure it out while also trying to keep herself safe at a point, and she's like, what is going on? And it is just a really good story. I felt like it twisted in such a good way. I was shocked by it, and I was a little bit like, ooh, creeped out, and I loved it. Next book, White Horse by Erika T. Wurth. I was not a big fan of this one. This is the 2-star book. It follows, what is the name of the main character? Carrie. She's half Native American through her mother. Her mother died when she was a child, though, and at the point in this book, her cousin has found a bracelet that was her mother's, and she ends up kind of becoming haunted, and she has to figure out what happened to her mother, because she thought that her mother was missing, but it turns out her mother died. And I think that's all within the first, like, couple of pages sort of thing. But who knows? Maybe I just gave stuff away. Boop, boop, boop. So we're trying to figure out what happened to her mother. And, you know, the thing is, it's not very scary. It's kind of a mystery, but a little dull. It's slow to read. I didn't hate it. It's just, it was not the book for me. I was just a little bored and a little bit like, okay, like, you would end up places that just didn't make sense for the actual story. Like, you'd end up at an amusement park, or, like, it all starts with her in the apartment of her cousin that, is in this horrible marriage that you're dealing with the entire time, too. And the apartment is a mini golf course. It's very weird, you know? Like, it doesn't match. The weirdness doesn't match. It just, I feel like it's not slotting in for me. And those are my feelings. Next physical book I have, this is the last physical book I have, is The It Girl by Ruth Ware. I just finished this today. It's January 31st right now. I'm not going to read another book today. This one, I feel like it felt like a lot of other books. So it's this woman who, she is now about 30, and she finds out that the killer of her friend that she helped to send to jail has died in jail. And then it starts opening up, but wait a second, is that what actually happened? Like, did he actually kill her? What actually happened? And she's pregnant, and she's kind of like, you're going back into her college days, trying to figure out, like, all the different characters, all the different players, and also following her nowadays as she is thinking back, speaking to people, kind of investigating, and opening up old, like, closed wounds sort of thing. It was okay. I liked it. I did call who the murderer was halfway through the book. It's like a 400-page book, and I was like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. I know this. It's obvious to me. And I was like, maybe there'll be like 40 twists and then we'll find it out, you know? But I don't know. Sometimes mysteries, I feel like they have to have like so many twists nowadays. It's like they're all trying to be better than Gone Girl. I don't know what it is. 3 stars. Okay, last 2 books. Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by Elle Cosimano. I loved it, as always. Was it the most memorable of the Finlay Donovan books? I've only read one other one, because this is the second one. No. But also it's fun. It was exactly what you expect it to be. It was a 4-star book. It was like, you know, there's a hit out on her ex-husband, and she's trying to figure out who put the hit out there, and also untangling lots of different things that are going on. And I love the characters. I love her nanny. I love, like, everything happening. I love how she's a writer, and this is how, okay, if you don't know what Finlay Donovan is, she is a writer, a mystery writer, and someone overheard her talking about her book and thought she was an assassin, so, or a hitman, and so they got, like, hired her to do a murder for hire, but hire. Anyways, they hired her for that, and then it just sets off this chain of events, and that was the first book. And now it's like she's writing, and her writing is like, kind of like reflects what's actually happening in her life. And then she'll write something, and then it'll actually happen in her life, even though it's like, you know, there are just certain things that are just so funny and weird. I love it. And the last one is the final Goodnight Pom Pom manga that I've been reading this series for a while. It is the most depressing thing in the world. I gave it 4 stars. It's about this, like, person who is drawn as a chicken, and you follow him from the point where he's a child until he's about in his 20s, I think, is the last one. And it's super depressing, super gritty, super bleak. And I loved it, you know? It makes you feel kind of bad, but in a good way, I guess. I would recommend it to anyone that's looking for something that will make them feel like they're a morally bad person. I'm sorry. I don't mean that. But that's how it feels sometimes. I'm like, God, Punpun's so bad. So I'm finally done with that series. Those were all 9 books that I read this month. So excited to get to share them with you. And thank you for watching me. And be sure to subscribe, like, comment, let me know your thoughts. Oh, I love it. Bye.